Hello, welcome to the Bobby Moore Stand. I'm Gary, and this is Sunday night, and I'm on my own doing a solo show for the first time in God knows how long. So I'm ill. Chris is ill. Martin's not ill, but I just thought I've only got one thing to talk about today. Anyway, it's the game yesterday. I've got a lot to say about that. So you probably have as well. So it's just going to be me in the comments. So and Claire, who's joined me. So it's the dream team. Me and Claire tonight. So good evening, everybody in the chat. Good evening, everybody who's watching. I think you would have seen a lot of match reviews so far, and I've got to say, looked at Geo's, I looked at Nick yesterday, I looked at quite a few actually, and they're all pretty accurate. But I think there's a few things that you pick up going to a game like that, and I'm going to share them with you. Let alone pneumonia, you know what I mean? So anyway, let's. If I snot halfway through this, I do have emergency tissues on standby. I'm day nursed up. I had a cold before I went yesterday, and you're going to agree. If you have a look at a TikTok video that I made on the way out, you'll see just how wet I got because stupid git that I am didn't take a hoodie, didn't take a cap, didn't take anything to put on my head, and I was probably the only one in the away section with nothing on his head. So I got slightly moist. It has to be said. Anyway, I was a wreck at the end. So let's go for it. Before we start, if you watch this channel, please could you subscribe? The Bobby Moore Stand here on YouTube. Hit the bell notification icon and give the video a like, give the video a hype, give the video whatever you like. But yes, that all helps us very much. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could do that. So I drove down there yesterday on my own in the car, nice quiet drive, listening to some podcasts. 3 hours. I booked a parking space for 24 quid. Didn't need to because I could have parked for free on the same bloody road. There you go. Anyway, pulled up on the drive. It's a nice parking space. The guy, it never happens at Just Park, but a guy came out to greet me and we had a little chat. Strange that. I just sat there in the car because it's absolutely hammering it down. Searched around the car for something, even a plastic bag. I'd have taken anything, you know. I'd take if it was coming down that hard, right? My body was all right. I had jeans on. I had trainers on. I like waterproof Barber on as well. Didn't seem that waterproof at the end. I just sat there for about 10, 15 minutes and I thought, right, just got to go because it ain't letting up. So I walked as quickly as I could, quickly as my little legs would carry me to the ground. By the time I got there, honestly, it was just dripping off me already. So had a pie, had a coffee, tried to warm up because it wasn't freezing. That's the only thing I'll give it. It wasn't freezing, right? Yeah, I know. It's a bit too graphic, that language, isn't it? Any funny? So it wasn't freezing. That's the only thing it had going for it, but it was still cold, and it got colder as the day went on. Anyway, I wanted to take some video, and I did take some of the black balloons. So I thought there's a gap there between the front of the stand and the pitch, the advertising hoarding. So I thought I'd stand there. Got clearance from security to do it. And I stood there. I basically waited inside until just before the players come out because it's just too wet. Looked down at my ticket. I'm in row C, 3 rows back. The rain was almost horizontal at this point. It's pointless having a fucking roof, isn't it? I mean, in all of these grounds, when they say, oh, you've got to have, you know, like they talk about, this frustrates me when they talk about London Stadium, oh, we've got to extend the roof. What's the point? You're going to get wet. Nobody tells me, there's me at the back of the Bobby Moore lower usually, when I'm not in the posh seats, I get soaked when it rains. And I'm like 20 rows back or whatever it is. The roof makes no difference whatsoever in such a big ground. And this was a little ground. Tiny little ground, very compact if you've not been there. Little toy ground, but nice little atmosphere, very, very intimate. Row C, you're literally about 8 foot from the pitch. You know, from the actual start of the grass. And so you won't get a better view than that, to be honest. And in the first half, I had this big guy next to me called Nick, who was acting as a bit of a windshield and a bit of a, you know, he's deflecting some of the rain. But then throughout the first half, the rain changed direction, started coming in from the front left-hand side. So he was over here, and the rain's coming in down that side. So I just go, fucking no way of winning. Can't win. Anyway, like I said, go and have a look at the TikTok video if you see. That was me dry. So if you can imagine afterwards, If you imagine what I was like before then, yeah. Right. So the team was weird, wasn't it? The team was weird. I mean, no Paqueta for a start. We knew that it was banned, but no Somerville was a bit of unexpected. Not mentioned during the week, but there had been a lot of talk about Guilherme with the journos in the pre-match presser. So that explains what that was all about. And yeah, the big German Füllkrug was on the bench, a bench full of kids and journeymen. So we had Areola in goal, and thank God we did. We had AWB, Kilman, Igor, Todibo, Diouf, Matthias, Rose, Fernandez, Potsy, Guilherme, Wilson, and Bowen up top. I think that's pretty much how it was. I think what you had there was you had Matthias, you had Fernandez and Potts covering like the width of the pitch. And I think you had Guilherme in it. He seemed to be playing behind the front two at one point. I don't know if that was deliberate or how it ended up, but that's. And then he was on the left, and then he was behind the front two. And Wilson, thank God for Wilson, and Bowen as well. So anyway, look, the first half, like I said, the weather was obscene. People with hoods were soaked. So it tells you how wet I was, right? I don't mean to keep going on about it, but I will. Now, we didn't feel like we were under any pressure whatsoever from Bournemouth. I've got to be honest, in the first half. What it looked like to us was the wind was blowing from where we were stood. It was blowing towards the Bournemouth goal. And the rain was as well, most of the time anyway, before it changed direction. But what that led to, because it's quite swirling as well, every time we put a high ball into their box, they seemed to lose the ball, right? The centre-halves didn't know where it was. Even outside the box, people were just getting confused. And I think that gives you a good indication, because I actually made a little video before in the car, and I thought the one good thing about this weather, it could be a bit of a leveller. And I think that's what it was, because they were all over the place in the first half defensively, Bournemouth, and Callum Wilson just took fantastic advantage of it. I mean, the first one was an Areola assist. Now, beautiful. The way he brought the ball down and got the shot away, a very good shot. He knows how to connect. Geezer's got muscle memory of a top striker, right? Because that's what he was once. Now he's he could be a top striker for 60 minutes. He proved that yesterday. He still got it. He got that shot away. It looked from where we were standing, because it was down the other end of the pitch, that the keeper had made a right balls up. And indeed, when you watch the replay on TV, the keeper arguably should have had it. It was out of position. But the thing is, he hit it well. He hit it into the ground. The wind was probably making it swirl all over the place. It was the perfect way to hit that ball. And he really connected with it properly. So great goal. He gets all the credit for that. And then, not long later, we're partying. Didn't matter about the rain then, did it? And it mattered even less about the rain when number 2 arrived. It seemed to be, I think, Diouf across to Bowen, who got his head on it, a little touch from Todibo, and then improvisation from Callum Wilson in a very tight space. One touch, and then he knows he's got to get his foot on this ball double quick. But any contact there, and he's just pushed it into the top corner, and it was such a great finish. If only we could have had him 6 years ago or something like that, because you can tell his brain still operates in that way. His body just can't quite keep up with it for a whole game. But we were, partying like it's 1999 at this point, and it kind of went on. There was some great tension as well. And this is what I really genuinely love to see. And again, this happened right in front of us, a couple of yards in. It was on the touchline directly in front of us, where Potsy had just bought a foul. There's no two ways about it. He bought the foul. He didn't dive. He bought the foul. He put his feet in the way. The guy fouled him. He fell over the feet. That's normal, right? It was Tavernier that did that. Really angered Tavernier. It's like they're the only team that can dive, and they were dropping like fucking, all over the pitch. They were just dropping like they'd been shot by snipers. Bournemouth, terrible. On the flip side, they were fucking filthy. They were getting stuck in. They nearly hurt Bowen right at the end, didn't they? And they had to go at Diouf. Many nibbles at Diouf. They had to go at Guilherme. They had to go at everybody. But anyway, Potsy, this is where it was nice to see. So I've never seen this from Potsy before, but I saw it right up close where shortly after there was a coming together. Shortly after he bought that free kick, there was a coming together. And Potsy walked away with his back to Tavernier after they were coming together with the ball tucked under his right arm, right? Tavernier went fucking ballistic. He went ballistic, ran after him, tried to get the ball off him. Potsy just is like innocent, but I will melt look on his face. I love shithousery like that. You cannot beat it. He's playing like he's older than his years. You know what I mean? Shortly after that, there was a game stoppage, and the crowd had taken the piss out of Tavernier, who was stood right in front of us. To be fair, he took it. He laughed. He turned around and laughed. Did get some abuse, so he got his revenge later, didn't he? So look, it couldn't have gone any better in the first half, could it? It couldn't have gone any better. We were loving life. I went downstairs. I had many chats, including one right at the urinal with a guy that I couldn't, not at the urinal, behind in the toilets, queuing up for the urinal, with a guy behind. Forget his name because I'm crap with names. I can remember one name per game, and I'll tell you who that is after, right? That's my limit. I remember Turbo Dave from the thing a few weeks ago, right? So yeah. Bumped into Cat in the queue, going into, to get, I was getting, at this point, I was so cold and wet, I wanted a Bovril, wanted to go 1970s. Nothing better than having a cup of gravy when you're cold. So that's what I did. Cat bought me a Bovril, actually. She bought it. And she had a little girl there for her first game. And at this point, I was thinking, do we always win 4-0 when I come away to Bournemouth? Because that's what happened last time. But no. I'm just glad we didn't lose. So anyway, look, we're all dripping out in the foyer there, but it was like such a nice, it was such a nice atmosphere, pleasant atmosphere, full of hope and everything else. We should fucking know not to take that for granted, right? I mean, don't be happy at half time. Every time I've been happy at half time recently, the second half has let me down. And I've got to say, this was entirely self-inflicted. Nuno gets top marks for the first half, bottom marks for the second half. So, look, as I said, in the first half, Bournemouth defence struggled big time with crosses into the box, right? The ball must have been swirling everywhere. In the dressing room, they must have been saying to the manager, let's fucking do the same to them, right? Let's get balls into the box, see how they like it. And from minute one of the second half, incidentally, Guillaume had already been taken off for KWP, who seemed to position himself in a right wing position. But as the half went on, ended up being just another supplementary fullback. I don't think he did that well either. I don't think he did that well. He doesn't cope, I don't think, KWP, when the heat is on, right? I don't know why. Maybe it's just because he was out of position. That wasn't his position. Maybe if he was playing as a fullback, but he was playing out of position because we run out of players. Basically, shows you how thin our squad is. A couple of injuries, we're knackered, right? But anyway, I couldn't believe that we were going to go defensive for 45 minutes. I could not believe it. But 10 minutes in, well, in fact, 7 minutes in, he took off Callum Wilson, who looked fresh, and he's on a hat trick. He took him off and replaced him with Thomas Souček. The worst substitution he could have picked, because he didn't play Thomas Souček like he's played in the last couple of weeks, for the last 20 minutes up the top of the pitch as a very false nine. No, he kind of played as a most advanced midfielder, a position that was kind of pointless because he was like the old Souček when you're up against a mobile and a midfield that's able to pass. It was like a traffic cone. People were passing around him, right? It was just pointless having him on the pitch. It was a balls up, a massive balls up. But anyway, 10 minutes passed. We've had 10 minutes of pressure. And I said to Jim Grant, who I was with, I said, he's saying, we've got to stop this because we're going to pay for it in a minute. I said, well, we're away. They're losing 2-0. Usually when you're away to a team, the first 15 minutes of the second half is when you're under pressure, right? And after that, they kind of lose heart a little bit if they don't break through. Anyway, 20 minutes in, it's still going. Wave after wave after wave. We kept just giving the ball away cheaply, inviting them on again, getting deeper and deeper. Crosses were coming in left, right, and centre. They've got some very good, very cute players, Bournemouth, in the attacking third, and they were picking their way. They were picking the lock to get through our congested defence. You know, credit to them. They do have some creativity, definitely. Some very talented players with close ball control who can move the ball very, very quickly, much too quickly for our centre half, sadly. By the way, I'm not going to include Todibo in that. I'll include Kilman and what's his name, Igor, in that, because they are just two lumbering centre halves. I don't think Todibo is. I'll come to him later. Anyway, the inevitable happened. I think it was like 69 minutes ish when the penalty happened. From out again, it's the goal down the other end. What appeared to happen is the ball came across. Kilman slid into it. When I watched the TV replay, it's clear that he went down and tried to slam dunk the ball. His arm moved towards the ball. That is not in doubt. Definite penalty. Lucky not to get sent off, actually. So the referee fucked everything up yesterday, every decision, including that one. So thank God he did, because that would have screwed us right up. He didn't do a lot wrong yesterday, Kilman, apart from that. There always seems to be one instance. This is the way we used to talk about Mavropanos, right? One instance that causes a goal. You know, so at 2-1, we're biting our nails. It's not looking good. At 2-1, what he does is the final substitution. He brings on Nicholas Füllkrug. Oh, Nicholas Füllkrug. Now, again, advantageous position where I am to be a judge of Nicholas Füllkrug yesterday, because he was right in front of us. He'd done all of his work in a little circle of probably about 10 yards right in front of us. He literally jogged around very gently, never chased anything with any anger or animosity, no aggression whatsoever. I think his shorts at the end were as clean as they were, probably his boots as well, as when he came on. I mean, there was literally nothing. He brought nothing. When I remember back to that fucker after a match, a Potter match last year, I can't remember which one, he said to Sky, we were shit. There's only one person that was shit yesterday, Füllkrug. That was you, mate. You're a fraud based on that. That was infuriating. While the rest of the team are getting absolutely beaten up by wave after wave of attack, the only contribution this fucker made to it was to play Potts into trouble and nearly help him score a goal. Nearly help him get the winner, right? While all this was going on, Areola's making save after save after save. And you've got to bear in mind, not only did Nuno decide to defend in the second half, stupidly, for 45 minutes, 51 if you include injury time. I mentioned it earlier, the wind and the rain was going in that direction. They had the wind and the rain at their backs. We had it in our face. When you consider that, you got to just look at Areola's performance as something genuinely special. Probably one of the best West Ham goalkeeping performances ever. I mean, it was outstanding what he did, especially that beautiful move they played where the ball come across and he somehow got his foot to it. People might call that lucky. That's part of goalkeeping, spreading yourself, making sure you cover as much space as possible, right? Any part of your body. So it counts. You don't have to save it with your hands for it to be for it to count as a save. Fucking amazing performance. And his handling, unlike the keeper down the other end, was superb throughout. Even his punches were good. Distribution not so good, but then again, it never has been. He's made for a 4-2-3-1 system. That is what he's made for. He was good under Moyes. Nobody's got a doubt about that. He was good under Moyes. You remember the European thing, the Sevilla at home? He was a great keeper for us once. Potter came along, decided he's going to play on the floor. I reckon, this is my theory, you know, he had them crazy haircuts. I reckon that was representative of the way of his state of mind at the time. It's like the one that looked horror, right? Trying to get him to bring the ball out of defence like he did against Forest last year and pass to the opposition goal. Potter made him look like a mug, didn't he? But no, we've got the real Areola back now, and you can tell with his hairstyle he's calm. He wasn't calm during the game, though. Did you see him? Apparently, he's the most laid-back bloke, but during the game, he was screaming at that defence to push out. You know. Anyway, Areola, the guy who is the antithesis of Nuno, sadly, was trying to win the game. One of his substitutions, a minute after coming on, a beautiful through ball, quick turn, Bosch, 2-2, 81 minutes. And we're sort of looking at each other thinking, fucking hell, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose it. There's no, at that point, No doubt in our minds. No doubt in our minds that we're going to lose it, right? I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we held on from there. But I'll tell you what, apart from Fulkrug, I'm not going to slag off Souček because he was put on to do a stupid job, right? Which he done really badly. But I'm not going to slag him off because he didn't mean to. He's just not very good. So Fulkrug aside, Nuno aside, every one of those players put their heart and soul into that game yesterday. And that is why they were deservedly clapped off at the end. I was singing Areola's name, everything. It was a good moment. It was a good moment. And yeah, they deserved it because against all odds, against all of the shit that Nuno threw at them and Bournemouth and the weather, they managed to get from 81 minutes to 96 minutes unscathed. And we hung on. We got a point. So, look, that's the game. Let's go through some of your comments before I talk about the rest of it. Bloody hell, there's a lot of comments. There's a lot of comments. Good, keep them coming. Right, let's go. I'm not going to go all the way back. Sod that. Danny says, what was Nuno thinking? Just couldn't understand it. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, look, the thing is with Nuno, we know that his default setting is to if you're 2-0 up, try to close the game out, or 2 goals ahead, try to close the game out. He did it with Forest all the time. In order to do that, not only do you need better defenders, but you need an outlet as well. We didn't have either. The only outlet we had, if you saw a couple of examples in the second half there, was Bowen working his socks off to try and hold onto the ball and take a bit of heat off of the midfield in defence just for a couple of minutes until he got pulled down, right? That is, you know, Fulkrug fucking bounces off him if he gets anywhere near it. I'm still wound up about Fulkrug. I really am. Guilherme looked like an under-19 player because he is. He's 19. But the thing is, I don't think he was that bad, to be honest. I don't think he was that good either. I thought he was lightweight, but he's 19. Think about it this way. 2 years ago, under 2 years ago, this time of year, probably sunning himself on a Rio beach, you know, enjoying the weather. Probably a little cocktail, you know, obviously alcohol-free cocktail being served to him. Pair of Speedos on. 2 years later, he's down the south coast in freezing cold, fucking swirling wind and rain in his face. That's a culture shock for any kid, right? Don't forget, it was the first time he steps out of Brazil, ever. So you got to be patient with him. We wouldn't be slagging off one of our own 19-year-olds just because he costs 20 million. Don't mean he's any older. And I can't believe people are writing him off because he didn't do a lot wrong. And in a game like that, like I said earlier, because it was so unpredictable, the ball could have broken anywhere at any one point. All he needs is a run on someone. So that's why I didn't understand taking him off. Now, I've heard somewhere that he took a knock and had to be taken off, but that feels convenient to me. Same as it feels convenient that someone suggesting Wilson had a knock and he had to take him off. They're kind of retrospective excuses, I think. So I'm not going to buy them. I'm not going to buy those excuses. All right. But I think he should have given him the first 20 minutes. I think, to my mind, if you're going to run a game down, you don't run it down for 45 minutes or 90 minutes, Moyes in Leverkusen, right? What you do is you take the game to the opposition, and when the time is right, maybe with half an hour to go or something, you got to bear in mind the confidence levels of our defenders, this makeshift defence we pulled together, let alone the rest of the players. You know, we start conceding goals, the confidence does drain away, it ebbs away, and it seemed to ebb away a little bit after the penalty. But they stood up and were counted. Lot to learn and not ready, not had many minutes. No, he ain't. That's what I don't understand. Why are they not using him in Premier League 2? He's that age, right? Going out in the first sorry, this is Iron Disciple. So Gary, going out the first half, the way Bournemouth did by firing back, there was no reason to go defensive. Not at all. If we'd take it to them for 20 minutes, take the wind out of Bournemouth's sails where they think like, I'm not getting anything out of this, right? But all we did was, with the wind at their backs, let them run at us constantly. It's a miracle that we survived. Thank you, Areola. So yeah, Wilson was on fire. Wilson was amazing, right? In hindsight, before the game, I predicted a 3-1 win to us the other night on this channel. On the Finalysis app, I predicted a 2-2 draw, because I felt a little bit insecure about it, to be honest. I started thinking about Paqueta, and I'm just wondering. I mean, Nuno didn't have any more options in terms of an attacking player. If you look at who was on the bench, there are some youths. There's Earthy and people like that. Phil Fearon, who's not quite ready yet, and various others. I don't know if that game yesterday was the right game, but what is the right game? I would have tried a couple of kids out yesterday because there is always a chance, like I said with Guilherme, that in a game like that, you're going to get a lucky break or something. A ball's going to break for you. You're going to find yourself in a situation where you can make something happen. Might have been brilliant. It might have been absolutely brilliant. But, oh dear, I don't know. But it is a good point. It's a good point, but we should have had more. And context in this game is everything. Absolutely is. You cannot ignore. I'll never be one of these people, mainly because I've got eyes. I'll never be one of these people who say, oh, yeah, it's a masterclass. It fucking weren't a masterclass. We got destroyed. You only have to look at the stats to realize we got destroyed. I haven't got the half by half stats, but let me just share with you quickly. I know there's one on here that's a little bit wrong, but let's have a look at this. I mean, that's just obscene. You know, shots on goal, 10 versus 2. Shots off goal, 11 versus 2. Total shots, 28 against 5. Shots inside the box, 22 against 4. Shots outside, 6 versus 1. Fouls, well, I don't matter. Corner kicks, 9 versus 2. Didn't get caught offside very much. That's good. Ball possession, 76% to Bournemouth. There could have been some sending off yesterday. The foul on Bowen at the end, I think it was a red card. Kilman was probably a red card as well, so that balances itself out, I guess. Yeah, passes. Look at the number of passes, 609 from them, 202 for us. That is because we kept lumping it out of defence every time, right? Look at their pass accuracy, 519 out of 6. Look at ours. It's like 50%, right? 56% to be precise. Look at the XG, 4.08 versus 0.65. Wow. I mean, you will not get a game that we should really have lost in that second half as much as that. We got away with one there. We really got away with one there. Again, let's go back to the comments. Where's the comments gone, for Christ's sake? Oh, no. Comments, come to me. There you are. Sorry, I've got to maximise. They've gone. They're back again now. Right. Let's go for the more recent of the comments. So, interested to see if you agree with my assessment. Right. You joining Gary on? No, Chris is ill. He's got a chest infection of some kind. So, always thought Kilman was too Bob from the start. I'm reluctant at this point, Dave, to start slagging players off at all, apart from Fulkrug. He's fucking disingenuous. He is. I mean, he's a fraud. What he said and what he did yesterday, what he said about that game last year, about his teammates and what he did yesterday, he can fuck off. All right. But Kilman, he does try. He does try his hardest. He gave a penalty. I don't think he meant it. I think it was a reaction. I think it was a natural reaction. His hand went towards the ball. I don't think he meant it. And he did quite well apart from that. But special mention to Tadibo, who I thought was, this is a guy I wrote off a little while ago, completely wrote off, not suitable for the Premier League, rubbish. That's the third game in a row where he's been bloody good. And yesterday, in that weather, those conditions, like the Alamo, under pressure the whole game pretty much. The first half, I gave Bournemouth no credit for getting forward, but they did. You know who stopped them? Tadibo, almost single-handed. In the air several times, on the ground, well-timed tackles in the box, in the wind and rain, bringing the ball out, not giving them a chance to dive into the box for penalties like they tried twice. Dirty cheats. Igor did all right for his debut. You know, he did all right. His floor came out. And that is, he can't head the ball. But at least we had, you know, Kilman got his head to a few balls, and at least Tadibo is looking dominant in the air. For someone who didn't head the ball hardly at all, he's suddenly looking dominant, and he looks fit and mean as well. And that's the other good thing that happened. He went and protected, because he's a big geezer, Tadibo, right? He went over and protected his mate, Diouf, age 21, who got fucking taken to the cleaners badly by another ferocious Bournemouth team. They were filth. Referee let him get away with murder, right? He took exception to that, and a big melee ensued over the other side of the pitch. Didn't quite see what happened, but I did see Nuno sneak out from the back of the pack at one point, like he'd gone in, had a little dig at someone, then escaped before anyone noticed. I don't think he did, but you know, it's brilliant because we had quite a few players join in. I love that solidarity in a team when it looks like they're sticking up for each other. You can't beat it. You can't do anything without that, can you? Despite Areola Burnley error, he truly made up for it. Oh, that's all forgotten now. That's all forgotten now. You can only judge them on what they do, can't you? And he could not have done it. It was superhuman effort yesterday. In those conditions, I can't emphasize how bad it was. In those conditions, to put in that performance in the second half, that is why he's by far my man of the match for a start. But that is why it was so extra special, because you saw their keeper fucked up down that end in the first half. Same conditions. Yeah. We lose that game if we don't have Areola in goal. Chris is doing a full Krug. What? Running around in a circle, doing fuck all, looking uninterested. If you're doing that, Chris, you're in trouble. Right. So, Areola v Nuno was... Nuno's always lost to Areola. He's never beaten him. He's probably surprised at half-time that he was ahead. But I think the class showed in the substitutions. But, there's a big but here. Not protecting Nuno. I thought he was fucking diabolical. Because, all right, you ain't got very many options. That's an even bigger reason to make the right decision. You know? Because when it got to his... I watched Gio's show earlier, and I think he called this right, actually. I think with a third substitution, he was trying to correct a mistake he'd made with a second substitution. Because me and Jim were looking at it saying, who's he going to fucking take off? Because we see Magassa coming on. Oh, no, not Magassa. We see Full Crew coming on. So who's he going to take off? We just couldn't figure it out. And there you go. That's what happened. The rest is history, as they say. What he really should have done, which is what I said at the game, is he should have subbed the sub. I know that ain't the dumb thing, and it's a slur on the player and everything else, but fuck it. You want to win a game of football. Don't think about people's feelings. Explain it to him after. Tommy would understand. He was uniquely ill-suited to playing that game yesterday, Tommy. That is the sort of game where he gets exposed, and boy, did he get exposed. He won a few headers early on. He done the sort of meat and potato stuff that Thomas does, but largely they were going left of him, right of him, over the top of him. Like he wasn't there, right? Worry if Areola gets injured. Well, this takes me, Claire, on to the next problem. This is what happens to West Ham and West Ham's starting lineup when we've got two key injuries. What if it's true that Callum Wilson's got a knock? Guilherme, not that matters too much, has got a knock. How long till Somerville gets back? I didn't even know he was injured. Yeah, apparently it's a minor one and he'll be back pretty soon. But you can see we've got a massively congested Christmas period coming up. We've got AFCON in January. If we get some bad luck with, I don't know, disciplinary, more bans or players getting injured, which this is the time of year they get injured due to the weather. It's what happened at Villa in that FA Cup game, isn't it? When the temperatures get really cold, hamstrings go and stuff like that. A couple of injuries to regular first teamers, we're in shtuck. We've got no depth at all. And that's the difference between Areola and Nuno, and what Nuno had at his previous club, because that Greek Marinakis, whether you like him or not, and he's a bit of a nutter, but whether you like him or not, he does make sure you got a lovely big squad, doesn't he? You got options. Our one don't, does he? Our Marinakis. Marinaka. So, under Potter, we would have died horribly. It'd been, you imagine under Lopetegui, under either of those, that's 5-0, without a doubt. Too expensive to keep? No. He's not a backup. Oh, yeah, too expensive to keep as a backup keeper. He's a primary keeper, like he always should have been. Because we shouldn't have hired Potter, in hindsight. Got to support the guy when he's here, ain't you? But we shouldn't have hired him. And it was his fault that suddenly Areola was surplus to requirements. Never should have been the case, should it? Lopetegui was mad because he was an ex-keeper. And he kept flipping, if you remember. He kept flipping between Fabianski and Areola. One of them dropped a ball or made a mistake. He put the other one in. Like Shilton and Clements all over again. But still no excusing Nuno. Nah, but it's a game. We move on to the next game, don't we? No one ever does something that says that's unforgivable, right? Yeah, you don't forgive it, you move on. I support the team, I support the manager. I quite like the manager. I like to think that what he did yesterday, what worries me is that's his default setting. and he's going to pull out that default setting whenever we're a couple of goals up. He did that for Forest, but then again, at Forest, he had better options. I think the one thing you can say is he genuinely didn't have any attacking options yesterday to bring on, apart from the one he brought on. And I guess you're expecting a bit more from Füllkrug than that. So it's not his fault, I guess, that Füllkrug played like a fucking tit. It is his fault that he brought Souček on, though, on 52 minutes, 7 minutes into the second half when, you know, what's his name? Wilson was shaking his head as he went off, even though he was adult enough to just let it go when he got off the pitch. He was on a hat trick. You know he wanted a hat trick, right? You know he did. All strikers do. First thing he'd be thinking when the second goal gets in, he goes in, he's going, I'm taking the ball home. So on another day, he gains in 4 or 5, yeah. We've been linked to keepers, really. It's the last thing we actually need, apart from if we're going to part exchange the Dane. I don't want to see little keeper in between sticks again. Difference between Bowen and Füllkrug. Bowen gives a shit. Well, that's more than that difference. But yeah, Bowen plays with heart on his sleeve. Always does. Never lets you down. Always gives 100%. Yeah. Don't think he was that bad. What you're talking about, Füllkrug, I can tell you, he was right in front of me. He was that bad. He was fucking awful. Right now, my eyes are quite bad, but at that distance, they're not. Crystal clear as day. Geese didn't try. I mean, I was actually I was getting at me pram at one point. So fuck it, at least look like you care, mate. He didn't care. He's past care and he wants out. Or he was carrying an injury. Oh, in which case, why is he on the bloody bench? In case anyone's wondering, Somerville's injury is only a minor one. Should be back for Liverpool. With Paqueta coming in. Need to replace Kilman with Mavro. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. I think, yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't say no to it. But I don't think Kilman's getting replaced with Mavro. I think Mavro and Todibo were the first choice, and Kilman and Todibo the first choice with Mavropanos as the backup player. I think. The second half was like a non-league team playing. Well, no, we were just like a Premier League side sitting deep, inviting them on. Again, Simon, you had to be there to realise. I mean, he should have known. This is the thing, right? He's a manager. He's paid to manage. He's paid to make the right decisions. That's why they get slagged off and praised when they get it right, yeah? It should have been all too bloody obvious to him what the wind was doing and what the rain was doing. So to set up like that was just bloody stupid. You know, he made a fuck up. He's allowed to make fuck ups. Can't write him off because of it. But you can't accumulate too many fuck ups. And to me, that is, I mean, people had a go at him for Arsenal away. I ain't going to have a go in for Arsenal away. We weren't getting anything there regardless. Spurs got beat today. Lovely. Not praising Arsenal in that sentence, by the way. I'm just laughing at Spurs, as you'd expect. 4-1. Worse than us. Twice as bad. Well, he got a draw at Everton. There are 2 games that he basically conceded by picking a bloody stupid team. Yesterday, he got the substitutions completely wrong and cost us a point. He cost us 6 points away against 2 teams who were there for the taking, especially Leeds. Didn't do it, though, did we? Didn't do it. He made some crazy decisions, and yeah, it all went horribly wrong. But we got 7 out of 9 points. It's also 7 out of 15 if you want to count the other 2. I don't know. Chris is writing him off, Gary, not having him. You mean Füllkrug? Yeah, definitely. Or Guilherme. I don't know. It was his first start too. I'm missing out the thing here. I'm not slagging off Guilherme. It's noticed when he gets pushed off. Yeah, he did get pushed off ball 4 or 5 times. But again, mitigating factors. He's never seen weather like that before. It's like, how can I say? It's like someone who's seeing snow for the first time. I doubt he's ever even comprehended that weather like that exists out in the wilds of Brazil, you know? He lacks the physicality, so maybe you need to get him in the gym. Yeah, as long as it doesn't affect his pace. I mean, the one thing that I've noticed about him, when he arrived, he had like this lightning pace where he was shit off a shovel. He was faster than Somerville, right? Genuinely, easily faster than Somerville. Probably one of the fastest players in the league. He never seems to get into that top gear of acceleration now. So what's happened? Has he lost it? Is he being kept under wraps? Is he saving himself for later in the game? I don't know. I don't know. But he never seems to get to the point where he's doing that. We saw it at Chelsea last year, where he absolutely stripped the fullback. Fullback could not get anywhere near him in a foot race. That's what we got to be doing. If you compare Guillermo to Estevio, you can see a difference. I don't know. I'd need Chris here to tell me who that is, Mark. Firon uses his body better when he got his chance, and he's smaller than Guillermo. He is. But like you say, it's centre of gravity. That old annoying saying, centre of gravity. That's what he looked like he had bags of when he came on against Man U in the States, right? Should have left Wilson 70 minutes. Yeah, at least. Holding off players, right? I don't know. Good to see Spuds getting beat. Yeah, just mentioned that. Yep, let's laugh at Spurs. Might as well. He had a good game, didn't he? Sorry, I know I keep mentioning it. Christian always to tell me off. Obsidian Curse. Jimmy is a bit weedy too. They have and not. I won't have that Obsidian because lately Jimmy has been getting properly stuck in, and he's only a slight kid, isn't he? He uses what little weight he's got very, very well. And he's not afraid of a tackle, Jimmy. He's not a coward, right? He's not a lightweight. No. I mean, he's little. He is lightweight, as in he don't weigh much on the scales. But that don't mean he's afraid to go into a tackle. He can be a bitey little geezer, right? Right. So probably screwed up that little saying, didn't I? Right. I'll come back to the comments in a minute. Let's just do the rest of it. So outside the ground. I was soaked. I got some paper towel to dry my head. Pointless. I got outside the ground, found the last bit of shelter, bumped into a lovely girl called Sam. This is the one name I'm going to remember for today. Turbo Dave last time, Sam this time. I'm sure we bumped into each other earlier inside, actually, but then again, that's me and it. Anyway, we had a nice chat before I headed off down the wrong road. I went somewhere completely different. I ended up walking in the wrong direction with a load of Bournemouth fans. And look, I asked the Bournemouth fan, I said, excuse me, do you know where this so-and-so road is? And this geezer just looked at me, didn't open his mouth, right? So I thought, you fucking weirdo. So anyway, I called him a prick under my breath because no one wants to get beaten up by a load of Bournemouth fans. That wouldn't look good, would it? So he looked at me like I was speaking Chinese. Fucking dick. Fuck you, mate. Anyway, I'm still angry about that as well. I found my way back to the ground. Still raining. Done a TikTok video. Still bloody raining. Got back to the main road eventually using Google Maps. Bumped into Kat again and a little girl. So at least she didn't lose on her first game. Always a good sign. It's just like, you know, I 15 minutes back to the car, 3-hour drive home. It was a long, long day. But it was a good day out. I'm not going to say it wasn't. The crowd were in a good mood until the second half when we were hanging on, but then relief at the end for sure. There was a lot of pointed anger coming out of the crowd during that second half, especially at Fulkrug, got to say. But at the end of the day, we would have taken a point before the game. We took a point. I didn't catch pneumonia. There you go. Such is life. Onwards and upwards. That's it. That's the story of my day. We do the player ratings, I think. Coming up to 50 minutes. Only meant to do this for an hour. How's my battery doing? Yeah, good. So, look, first of all, I'm going to put the... there we go. Here's Kat. Did you get lost after you left? Oh, Savannah. Savannah's your little girl's name. Sorry, I remembered my one name. That was Sam. I top out of that, right? So yeah, lovely little girl, isn't she? So, no, I didn't get lost. I went straight down to the left. There was my car. Done. Just had to warm it up for about 10 minutes before I could move in it because it was all steamed up. Bloody hell. Mad. It was a long, long rainy day. She had 3 hours to drive home as well, Kat. Realistically, I think it's 3 from West Ham, Leeds, Burnley, and Wolves to go down. Well, look, I think that if Leeds and Burnley at the turn of the year find themselves in the bottom 3, that's when they start to get a little bit demoralised, right? Wolves are gone. Goodbye. I don't rate Leeds very highly. After seeing Burnley, I don't rate them very highly either. the fact that we're still in it and we're actually just pulled out the bottom three after the start of the season we've had is a miracle. It doesn't say very good things for them. We've actually lost to Leeds as well, and they're still below us. Right? Amazing, really. Yes, shut up, Chris. If you look at the thumbnail, you'll see a picture of my poor wet face in the bottom right hand corner from that TikTok video. I've never been wetter. Right. Back to the blogging. No, I don't do that. Slip me bodyguards. Yeah, as if. Don't need bodyguards. Just me against all the Bournemouth massive, you know what I mean? Double hard they are. Right. Let's do player ratings. I'm gonna put the comments on the screen, yes. I can probably make it bigger as well, because I'm good like that. Hang on. Tool. That ain't tall, is it? Medium. Big. That looks quite good, isn't it? Right, a quick way to move through. Can I put it on the left? You're not going to give me an option to put it on the left. You put it bloody wide. No, that's like part of my face. If I move over here, that'll work, won't it? Oh, good. Yeah. Right. Okay. Then let's start from the beginning. We're going to go with Alphonse, superstar Areola. I'm giving him a 10 for that. Give me your marks for Alphonse Areola and man of the match. Even before we've talked. No. You're not giving me wet video 10. That's worth a 2. It's a very angry video, it was. 9? Consider the weather conditions. It's got to be a 10 with those weather conditions. If you were there, you too would be given a 10. Well done, Darren. Well done, Claire. You know, it makes sense. Mama Wines, she was there. Cat knows it makes sense. Andy Armitt, definitely. No, you don't hand 10s out like confetti, but yes, the trudge, yes, the adverse conditions, 8 saves, that's worth 10 in anyone's book. It gave us a point yesterday. Right, about that. Look at this. Pierre Latom. 7? No, you're having a laugh. So, AWB. I'm going to give AWB a 7.5. I thought he was pretty good, actually. AWB, very solid. Very solid. I think all of those defenders, to a man, even Kilman, who gave the penalty away, they all deserve a massive amount of credit for the performance they put in. Because they could have folded and they didn't. You know, that's what they're prone to doing, right? So, yeah, I think that's 7, 6. We've got 6.5. Let's move towards the middle. Go the other side next. Diouf, who got a pre-assist and put in a couple of lovely crosses that are just as good in wet conditions as they are in dry. So I'm going to give Diouf. I'll give AWB a 7. I'll give Diouf an 8. No, I'll give it. Maybe a 7. I'll give them both a 7. Can't really overscore them, can I? So we've got lots of 6s and 7s coming in. I couldn't really fault Diouf too much, but in the second half, they did get a lot of crosses into the box. I know they weren't all from the byline. A lot of them were from further out, but Diouf 5, Pierre Latom? Are you working on a different system to us? Are you working on European metrics of some kind? I don't know. Areola 9, Diouf 7, Magic Diouf 7. Yeah, let's go to the middle now. Igor, centre. Debut. Brighton's 5th choice, centre half. I'm going to go 6. What's that? 7.5. Well, no player's perfect. No player's perfect, apart from Sadiba. I thought he was. I mean, a few sketchy parts where he could have given away a free kick in a bad place or got booked for the second time, but quite honestly, he stood up and was counted yesterday, Diouf. He really, really did. I thought he was... He used to say this thing, he looks like a Rolls Royce of a defender. Well, now he's really, really fit, commanding, protective of his fullback, dominant in the air, well-timed interceptions without giving a penalty away. I'm going to give to Debo for yesterday 8.5 to a 9. If I've given him a 9, if I've given Areola a 9, I think Todibo was every bit as important, especially in that first half and the second half, to be fair, in us getting a point out of that. So I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give Kilman, I'm going to give him, because he gave the penalty away, he would have got a 6. I'm going to give him a 5. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing to Debo. Here's a. So Debo, the new Mavropanos. Well, let's not say that yet, Chris. No one can aim for those dizzy heights, can they? You know, I think. Who we go next? Fernandez. Fernandez in the first half, I thought was fantastic, amazing, brilliant, different class, did everything right, pops up everywhere. So did Potts. Thought they were both brilliant, but I thought second half, by 20 minutes in yesterday to the second half, both Potts and Matthias were running out of steam. That is not an excuse for taking him off, because he shouldn't have taken him off. You don't break up a pairing like that and then pair the other bloke off who were already tired with Souček. That was a fuck up. So I'll give him an 8, Fernandez. I thought he was a superstar in that first half, genuinely. He does the dirty stuff down one end of the pitch cleanly, and then down the other end, he's the one with the creativity. He's popping up all over the place. He's a top player, you know, top player. Hawaiian Hammers. Hawaiian Hammer. Right. 7. Yeah. Were you there yesterday? I'm sure you were. Yeah. So, Guilherme, it disappointed me. I expected more. I would have kept him on just in case. I'm going to give him a 4. I ain't going to mark him down too much. I think he was off par, but he tried. He tried to run with the ball. It's just he's not. I don't know whether he's balanced, whether his conditions. I don't know. I'm going to give him a 4. Stevie Disciples 2. Nah, that's demoralising for the young lad, Steve. Danny's giving him 4 as well. I think 4 or 5 is about right for him. I just don't think it's his time yet. I don't know if it's ever going to be his time, but I don't want to write off a 19-year-old, because we could come to regret it, right? Don't forget what we were talking about the other day, that for 2 years, Winston Reid was crap. Then Arsenal wanted him. Especially a kid that young. Beginning of the season, people were writing off Freddie Potts. They're not now, are they? Premier League player, if ever I saw one. Who we got? Wilson. No, we go with, first of all, we'll go with Bowen. I want to give Bowen an 8.5 for the effort, because in those horrible conditions yesterday, he tried to lead by example and give some respite to the defence and the midfield. Literally the only player who did after Wilson went off. Right. So Bowen, fantastic, earned his money yesterday, showed leadership, very, very good. Very good. Yeah, mate, he's not the next Savio. Savio weren't even a football player, I swear. Shut up, Chris. He's going back on the wall. That's when he'll really thrive. Yeah. Right, what else we got? Bowen 9. Yeah, I was tempted there. But 8.5, I think, is about fair, because I think Tadibo deserves the 9. Got to do it in order. Callum Wilson, 3 and 2, scores when he wants. Crowd was singing his name yesterday. Good to see, actually. He must feel very good. He's on 92 goals. He needs to get it to his magic 100. If he stays fit, you wouldn't rule it out, would you? Tell me what you're going to give Callum Wilson. Yeah. See, I think 9.5, just one down from the top dog for 2 goals that were, let's be honest here, the balls that were played into him, they were half chances. It was his speed of thought and feet that turned them into actual chances. And execution of those chances was absolutely flawless as well. So you just can't knock him. You can't knock the guy. He couldn't get in Nuno's team a few weeks ago. That's looking a bit silly now, isn't it? Wilson 10, Iron Disciple says. 11. This one goes up to 11, does it, Chris? John, 9. 2 very classy goals. Very, very classy goal. Proper striker. Plays the striker's role. You know what? He does the dirty stuff that Antonio used to do, like getting bashed up by defenders and bashing up defenders, but also he finishes like a striker finishes. Antonio finished. He didn't have that same striking instinct as he made the hard. He scored the hard chances, didn't he, Antonio? A lot of the time. Did little work. Come on. He was bashed up all over the place. You need to watch him. Firsthand. England's number 9. Yeah. Imagine if all of the strikers get injured and it falls to Callum Wilson of West Ham and England. You know, they only win a tournament when you've got 3 West Ham players. We've got to somehow get 3 West Ham players into that team. Todibo, what was that? Todibo he's been a beast last week. Yes. Well, he started playing on the left, but I can't believe that's all it is. I think it's to do with his command of the French language, Nuno Espirito Santo, to be honest. Let's talk about strikers then. Strikers, sorry, not strikers, the subs. We won't talk about Magassa. That was kind of pointless to talk about him. Let's give Souček, I'll give him a 3. He tried hard, but he was completely ineffective. Fulkrug, honestly, I'm going to give him 0.5. That's how little I believe he contributed to that game yesterday. I'm going to give him 0.5. And Carl Walker-Peters, another one who I don't believe pressured them enough on the ball in terms of pushing up, you know, and closing gaps. I saw a free kick right in front of us towards the end where he literally just watched as they passed it around him. He weren't being lazy. He just didn't have a clue what he was doing. I'll give him a 4. KWP. I don't think he was any better than Guilherme, truth be told. At least you had a chance of maybe saying breaking for you. You've gone under me again. You undercut me, 0.4. Out of order, Chris. Been well undercut by Iron Disciples, 0. -4. -4, says Obsidian, yeah. Walker-Peters, 4 or 3, yeah. Nuno, give me your scores for Nuno quickly, as I want to be finished in a second. For Nuno, I'm going to give Nuno, I would have given him, Nuno, an 8 out of 10 for the first half. He couldn't have picked it any better in the first half, couldn't have executed it any better. For the second half, well, no, you got to do an average, ain't you? Because second half, I'd probably give him 1 out of 10. Right, so if you add both of those up, an 8 and a 1, divided by 2, it's a 4.5. That's what I'm going to give Nuno. He just fucked it up. He gave those points away. And he can't do that again. Look, managers make mistakes. I'll let him make mistakes. I'm not going to start turning on the bloody manager, but it's too early. But he can't be seen to do that stuff very often because he just ain't going to get away with it. I felt like yesterday when we left there, I thought, my God, I've seen all this before. I've seen this film before, you know. Me, 10 out of 10. Nah, I wasn't 10 out of 10. I just... Let's have a look at Nuno scores. They're interesting. So Nuno, 5. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, so you're saying 5 there as well, Claire, on average, right? So 6, 5. He didn't really try and make any excuses. He kind of alluded to the fact that he'd fucked up on the subs a little bit afterwards, but didn't quite say it. You wouldn't expect him to, would you? To be fair, I don't think he's disingenuous. I think he's got Souček on the pitch. He must have been looking at it thinking, what have I done? What have I done? And this is what worried me when he picked those dodgy selections a few weeks ago. You're sort of thinking, does he not know his players that much that he's picked those players to play in that team? By the way, Andy Irving's going to the World Cup. Did you know it? Be worth a few more quid, wouldn't he? No vote and no confidence for Nuno. He fucked up yesterday. Calm. Let's not be. He's going to keep us up, I reckon. But it ain't going to be pretty. The thing is, it don't have to be pretty for me. Standard counter-attacking football with pacey front players, playing on the break, getting the ball out to them. The trouble is yesterday, Bournemouth didn't have anything to worry about. So all they could do was focus on going forward. They knew we had no threat, right? We had no threat whatsoever, right? So, yeah. I think he either bottled it or he just completely fucked it up. I don't know whether Thomas Souček done something he didn't expect him to do or moved into a different position, but he clearly tried to close the game out. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Tried to close the game out, failed every time. Literally just made it worse. In fact, I'm going to take a point away. I'm going to give him 3.5. Right? Now, for the players, I forgot. I didn't forget any players. It's amazing. Right. Well, it was a Moyes Mark II tactics. And look, as you know, I was never a big advocate of Moyes' tactics. I don't like that sort of, go a couple of goals up and stop playing. That doesn't do it for me. It never will do. But it don't mean I'm demanding great football, pretty football, tick-attacker and everything else, play like me. No, I ain't demanding that. I'm demanding just decent attacking football. And I'm demanding that if there's 15 minutes to go and you're 2-0 up, yeah, I can understand. I get it, right? Not a whole half in those conditions. It's never going to work. It's never going to work. It's stupid. And that's the biggest thing I had against yesterday. It was bloody stupid and inevitable the way it played out and annoying. Yes, moist flashbacks. Yeah. Yeah, look, you should try being there. My God. So I mean, people I was reading like lovely comments after the game going, oh, it's a point gain. It's like, oh, you weren't there or you didn't watch it, you know. Carries a moist, yeah, he is a moist too on that performance, but we also know he can play better than that, like he did against Newcastle and whatever else. It remains to be seen whether what he did yesterday was a result of him not having Somerville and Paqueta available to him, which he didn't, literally used all the options he had, or whether it was him wanting to completely take all of those options off the pitch and shut up shop. I hope it's not the latter. But time will tell. How often will he repeat that behaviour? Better not be next week against Liverpool. They're there for the taking. Let's get amongst them. We play better when we go 1-0 down, don't we? The opposition can't score when you're down there. And exactly. And that's kind of, we learnt that towards the end of the game. We gradually brought the ball down their end. I think, we only got over their halfway line in the first half, out of that second half, twice, if I'm not wrong. But that is it. I think that concludes this Bournemouth review. I haven't snotted over the camera while it's been going, so that's a result. Thanks to everybody for your comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Claire for joining me. Been on door. And that's it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. Please subscribe to the Bobby Mod Stand on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get it. Everywhere. Hit the bell notification icon. Hit like, etc., etc. Thanks for joining. See you soon. Chiam and